What's up, everybody? Good morning. Thanks for stopping by and checking out the channel. We're going to get cued in right now to the news. It looks like they're coming back from a break, and I'm trying to wake up. So hit that like, subscribe, follow. Appreciate you guys all coming to hang out. I've been hanging out with my friends. Yeah, that's okay. You do what you want to do.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Ryan Schmelz. We've got a lot of news to cover for you this next hour, but we're going to head out to Capitol Hill right now where Senate and House Democrats are proposing a new tax proposal. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Workers who teach courses at Georgetown are also contributing to cutting-edge research and life-saving research. We all believe that higher education paves a path to a better life, but many graduate workers are barely getting by. Our union helps us bargain for better wages. But as life gets less affordable, working Americans need relief just to cover the basics. I support the Working Americans Tax Cut Act because I want a tax code that treats working people fairly and that isn't shy about taxing the wealthy. Taking home a few extra $1,000s might not mean much if you're a multimillionaire or a billionaire. But for me, it would mean that I could afford rent without worrying or cover utilities without trying to cut back somewhere else.
That's awesome.
For many of my fellow union members with young families, it would mean being able to better afford childcare. The current system forces too many workers to make too many painful choices. Working Americans, no matter where they work, need a cost of living tax cut so that everyone, not just the wealthy, can have a shot at a better life. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine and Carl. And now I'm going to bring up Morris Pearl, who is the founder of Patriotic Millionaires. And as I said earlier on, this is a group of Americans who have done well and want to make sure other people have the opportunity to do well. And they want to protect our country and our democracy in the idea of making sure that hardworking people get a fair shake. So without further ado, Morris Pearl.
Hey, good morning. I'm Morris Pearl. I'm the chair of the Patriotic Millionaires. We're a group of wealthy Americans advocating for an economy that sustains the rich, stable, and free country the vast majority of Americans, regardless of political party, want to live in. It's a particular honor and privilege to stand with these lawmakers, Senators Van Hollen, Kelly, Kirsten Gillibrand, Cory Booker, Andy Kim, Chris Coons, Representative Don Beyer, and all of your colleagues, hopefully all of them soon. I represent a group of millionaires. We are the business leaders and investors, philanthropists. We like being rich. I personally plan to stay rich for the foreseeable future. But I prefer to be a rich person in a rich country with a lot of rich people and a big middle class. I don't want to drive around in armored cars like we do in a banana republic someplace. I want to be a rich person in a rich country. And it's not because I'm good or altruistic. I'm not any more altruistic than the rest of you guys. But I'm just greedy for a different kind of country than some of the other rich people in America. And I'm even happy to pay more in taxes to help us become the kind of country we can be. For millions of Americans, affordability is not a buzzword or a made-up term. Affordability is life. Whether you blame Trump's tariffs or Bidenomics or greedflation, when that many people can't cover the basic cost of living, it's not a personal problem. It's a national crisis, and it's one we can fix. The Working Americans Tax Cut Act is the single most efficient, effective, politically powerful way to meet the affordability crisis head on. This bold, surprisingly simple idea will deliver real money to people who need it and will spend it. That's good for the economy. And guess what? It doesn't increase the deficit by 1 cent because it's paid for by the millionaires like us. Millionaires like me need to live where people have the ability to work and provide for their families and have enough money to spend in our businesses, because that's how we make money. Our economy runs on consumer demand. We need people who have enough money in their pockets to pay for stuff, or else wealthy people's businesses and stock portfolios will just crumble. So if working people have more money to spend from their tax savings on account of this bill,
Yes, I made it
we
yesterday.
are all going to win. All of the legislatures, I urge you to back us on this bill. Creating an economy for rich people to get richer this year is short-sighted. Creating a better economy for everyone means winning the long game. Thank you.
Thank you, Morris. And I also want to recognize that People's Action Progressive Maryland, I'm told, is in the House. Thank you all for being part of this. Randy Weingarten is apparently close to being here, so if she gets here in time, we'll, of course, give her a chance to say a few words. In the meantime, we're happy to take questions. Before we do that, I just want to make a couple points regarding these charts we have here. So the one to your right shows over time how the increase in incomes for the top 20%. So that's the top quintiles. You can see they're growing. The other lines are flat. This bill is designed to make sure we provide some tax relief to people who have income tax liability but whose lines have been flat there, unlike the Trump plan, which is right over here. And I do want to make a point. Welcome, Randy. I do want to make a point.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate it.
And I'm glad Don Beyer made this point. That chart that I've been pointing to about how the Trump tax bill is so lopsided for the rich is the version of the Trump tax plan that includes no tax on tips. As I mentioned, the no tax on tips goes away in 2028. The no tax on overtime goes away in 2028. The tax benefits that help the bottom 8% essentially, in large part, go away under the Trump tax plan. So we have a tax plan that helps, as I said, everybody else not in the 20% and really does, and everyone else with income tax liability. And that has been the focus. Now I see, thank you, Randy, for working very hard to get here. And as we said earlier, you know, teachers in America are already underpaid. And we want to make sure that teachers in America who are working hard, trying to make ends meet, get to keep a little bit more of their hard-earned paychecks. Thank you for being a really important voice and part of this movement. Randy Weingarten.
You know, it's amazing what YouTube can do because you can hear the entire press conference. Even on the plane, they didn't tell me to stop listening as we landed because everybody else around me wanted to hear what the two of you were
All
doing
these
and what
people
you were doing, Congressman. And that sends a big message because there have been many times when people have said, well, shouldn't we exempt teachers from taxes? And we've said, no, we need to be part of who we are as Americans. But what we do need to do is that and you've met two of my amazing members, and I'm so honored that Liz Schuler and the entire AFL-CIO has put its weight towards this. What we're seeing around the country, I represent nurses, public employees, I represent teachers, paraprofessionals, janitors, is that people, as Senator Kelly said, see, I did listen, people work hard. And there has always been this concept in America that if you work hard and play by the rules, you'll do okay. But right now, that's really out of whack. And this working class tax cut puts that back into whack a little bit. It sends a promise to the people who actually are the engine of the economy, are the ones who do the work every single day. That right now there's a real crisis in terms of not having enough money in our pockets, in their pockets. So let's actually do what the tax code is supposed to do, which is to prefer the people who are the engine of the economy to do the work that they have to do and make sure it gets paid for by the people who have actually profited so much from what has gone on in the last few years. And so I just can't thank you enough, Senator Van Hollen, Senator Kelly, Representative Beyer, because this is really important. And I just will say, this is the AFT's #1 priority. We have to make good. We have to make good with the workers in America, not by little gimmicks like a tax on tips or no tax on tips that if you file your taxes you can never take. We have to make good with the people of America, and that is why we wholly, 1,000,000% support this working class tax cut. Thank you.
How about, Amy, how about people stop being pawns and force a change? Oh, wait, they just fall into the trap like everybody else. They're too worried about buzzwords or too worried about being divided to actually pay attention to stuff like that. But all of it's intentional. They want you to be divided. They don't care if you're red or blue. They want you to be divided because the thing they fear the most is everybody forcing a change, being on the same page. It's all a bunch of horseshit, Amy. I just didn't want to, I wanted to say that before we got back into it.
Thank you. Thank you, Randy. Thank you for the passion. Thank you for making this AFT's #1 priority. And
they need to cut these motherfuckers' taxes when it's time to shut down the government. These guys don't get their salaries cut.
Millions of Americans working hard every day to bring back a paycheck that simply isn't enough to meet their basic expenses or to, as Senator Kelly said, be able to take a little family vacation from time to time. So we want to make sure these Americans can live in dignity, and that means letting them keep a little bit more of their hard-earned paychecks. We're happy to try and answer any questions that you've got. Yeah.
Thanks, Senator. So there's been some criticism from left-leaning policy people for this idea. They say it essentially adopts Trump's anti-tax message when you could say, well, we'll use tax revenue to solve child poverty or some other social problem. What is your response to that?
I think it's hard to say that we're embracing Donald Trump's anti-tax message when we're actually increasing taxes on people who make more than $1 million every year. Those are the people that Donald Trump is taking care of, as we've seen, the top 20%. While he takes care of them, everybody else gets squeezed. So the focus of this bill is Americans working hard who face an income tax liability. There are other Americans who don't have any income tax liability at the federal level, and I support and continue to support the programs that provide a safety net, from food and nutrition programs to health care programs to other programs. And as I said at the beginning, I don't see this as an exclusive Democratic proposal, but I do see it as a critical part of our overall effort, because people who do have federal income tax liability, who are still just barely getting by and making ends meet, they need a little relief too. Yeah.
You thought he was going to get an applause right there?
The fair share of people not paid. Do you think this gets there, and how do you define what fair share is?
Well, Congressman Beyer and I have introduced previously the millionaire's surtax piece, and we do think that that piece is important. That said,
he likes to go to
as
the park.
we've all talked about, if you're talking about billionaires, much of their wealth does not come in the form of income, even if it's realized gains in a particular year. And as you know, in America, people pass on huge fortunes from generation to generation without paying any taxes at all because of stepped up basis. And so the answer to your question is, I think, in my view, speaking for myself, I support other proposals to address that huge increase in wealth that currently goes untaxed. Now, we do tax gains on wealth in this bill, as Congressman Beyer said, when you sell stock or you have investment income. But my view is that there's a huge amount of wealth that currently is going untaxed that can be put to important uses for the rest of the country. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Thank you for your time. How do you think that this act will specifically affect Maryland's working class?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, he's a
How
puppy.
do you think this act will specifically affect people in Maryland who are working class?
Yeah, look, what this does is make sure that people in Maryland who are working hard every day, whether they're a single worker, whether they're part of a married couple, whether they have kids or don't have kids, that they'll have more money to keep in their pockets, right? They won't have to pay federal income taxes if their incomes are in these ranges where they're working hard just to meet their basic cost of living expenses. So this will help. I mean, it helps 130 million Americans. So this will help thousands and thousands of Marylanders, hundreds of thousands, maybe more. Okay? Thank you all very much for being here. And again, thank you to the entire team here for launching this one.
All right, you were listening to Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, as well as several other Democratic lawmakers releasing the new tax plan called the Working Americans Tax Cut Act, not to be confused with House Republicans and Senate Republicans pushed by President Trump Working Families Tax Cut, which is also called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Welcome into Live Now from Fox. I'm Ryan Schmelz. We got some breaking news to get to right now. We are learning that Jim Clyburn, the longtime Democratic leader on the House side, is going to be running for re-election.
I'm not
Clyburn
surprised,
is
Amy.
85 years old, served in the House since 1993, has served in numerous leadership positions, including House Democratic Caucus Vice Chair, Chair of the House Democratic Caucus, Majority Whip, and Assistant Democratic Leader. Now, what's interesting is that it was always expected that former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, as well as former House Democratic Leader Steny Hoyer, would all leave together with Clyburn. Pelosi and Hoyer are retiring at the end of this Congress. Clyburn, though, taking a different path. He is going to be staying in office and trying to run for re-election in the state of South Carolina. Now, we also have some other news to get to here when it comes to Iran. We have, what's that in right now?
Yep, that's going to be in reference 3.
All right.
Are we
Get
ready,
that pulled
Fox?
up here
Yeah,
right
we're
now.
ready, Fox. Yeah, we're going to do
Here,
this
we have
next segment.
from
Okay,
Jennifer
cool.
Griffin at Fox
Cool.
News, two
Sorry,
sailors
people.
in stable condition
It's not
after
like
a
we're
fire
live.
of non-combat related on board the USS Ford, which is in the Red Sea. So I have more news for you coming up in just a little bit. But first, we're going to go ahead and take our next break here. We'll have more news coming up for you after the break. I'm Ryan Schmelz. This is Live Now from Fox.
Fox, we talk about this, and we talk about it, and we talk about it. Your producers and your executives are making a lot of money. You guys got to do better. You shouldn't be having a conversation midway segment to be like, are we ready for the next segment? Oh, yeah, cool. They have earpieces. They can feed you information. Maybe you need to take that walking stick, Amy, and beat me with it. Maybe that'll knock some sense into me, and I won't care about the crappy production. I feel like all these major news networks are just like, it's like they don't. It's like you could take the same producers from the Jerry Springer show, and then they're more on point because they like care about it more. Like, you're getting outdone by Jerry Springer 15 years ago. Like, come on. Oh, that's cool, the ski lifts, though. Wonder where that is. Resort cams. So it's gotta be... Oh, it's Minnesota. Duluth. Oh, gosh, Minnesota. Oh, gosh, Amy. It's Minnesota. It's like they want to say what gets... Oh, yeah, yeah. It's like listening to Charlie Brown's parents. Womp, 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 Donald Trump. Womp, 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 buzzword. Womp, 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 buzzword. Just a bunch of fucking nonsense.
I'm Ryan Schmelz. We appreciate you joining us. We're going to head back out to Capitol Hill, where we have a hearing underway related to U.S. European Command as well as the United States amid the war in Iran. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Ukraine's critical infrastructure right now. So, General Grinkovich, Russia has engaged in a concerted campaign to attack Ukraine's civilian power infrastructure during what's been a brutally cold winter. Despite now entering spring, I'm incredibly concerned that Russia will continue to sustain attacks on Ukraine's civilian infrastructure. So I know you have thoughts on this based on our recent conversation in Munich. And so can you discuss your views on the threat posed by Russian attacks on Ukraine's infrastructure, and what kind of support has the U.S. government provided Ukraine to support its critical infrastructure? What more should we be doing in this space?
Yes, Senator. As you alluded to, there were a number of attacks over the coldest winter in decades in Eastern Europe against the Ukrainian civilian infrastructure. This included their electrical grid. At times during this period, we saw down to just a couple of hours of electricity per day in Kyiv, as an example. And then attacks on the thermo heating plants as well. Cutting heat to large swaths of many of the cities across Ukraine. So, what I would say is I think that these attacks were broadly intended to put pressure on the civilian population to then pressure the government of Ukraine to come to agreement to end the war. And what I've observed over the course of studying air power in history is that anytime you attack a civilian population, you usually end up finding that it just hardens their resolve. We take this all the way back to the London Blitz in World War II.
Right.
The Brits just had a stiff upper lip and kept on fighting. And I think that's what we've seen in Ukraine as well. Moving forward, I am watching very carefully to see now that it is warming up. Do the Russians continue these attacks on that civilian electrical and thermal infrastructure, or do they shift to other targets yet? At this point, it's still unclear, but we're watching it closely.
Thank you. We'll be looking forward to updates from that. I also want to talk about NATO cyber preparedness, because NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, they warned that Russia could be ready to use military force against NATO within 5 years. So as you know, Russia's cyber capabilities were core to its invasion and continued war with Ukraine. Russia's demonstrating a growing willingness to employ cyber aggression towards NATO. I'm glad that NATO hosts an annual cyber exercise. Locked Shields, the world's largest multinational cyber defense exercise, has begun to strengthen its cyber capabilities by creating the Integrated Cyber Defense Center, but that's not going to be operational until 2028. So, General Grinkovich, how are you and Cybercom working with our NATO allies, Ukraine, European partners, to enhance our cybersecurity capabilities, our cooperation, particularly with those less cyber-capable nations, because that puts us all at risk and makes us more vulnerable to our adversaries?
Yes, Senator, that's a great question, and thanks for asking it. This is one of the areas where the Alliance and I are focused to try to understand how we can bring the cyber capabilities to bear that nations do have. And while there's some countries that don't have a lot of capability in cyber, there are some within the Alliance that do, and some that we wouldn't expect to have.
But we're only as strong as our weakest link, right?
That's true, ma'am, but in an alliance that's built on collective defense, we can help each other. If one country is strong in air defense and another country is strong in cyber, there's a natural synergy there where we can help each other to get stronger together. In the classified session, I'd be happy to give you some details on who the main players are, but we are working to modernize how we access those cyber effects and can use them in a potential conflict.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to stick on this topic because over the past year, Russian aircraft and drones have flown into NATO airspace on multiple occasions. I don't believe these incursions were accidental. Russia's deliberately testing NATO countries, their readiness, their resolve, and the manner and timing of all of our response to this aggression. So building on Senator Fisher, I know she asked this earlier, how do you think NATO can and should most effectively respond to these Russian acts of aggression, even if they say they were accidental?
Yeah, Senator, I'm very proud of the initial responses I mentioned a little bit earlier, but I would also say that the stand-up of our Eastern Century vigilance activity across the alliance has resulted in a dramatic decrease in this activity. So it has had not just a preventive effect in terms of when drones are incurring into the airspace, being able to stop them, but it's also deterred the Russians from taking that kind of reckless behavior in the first place. So I think there's always work to be done here. It's not perfect. We continue to have limited incursions, but I think we're on the right path and making great progress.
Thank you. I look forward to the classified briefing.
All right, we're going to step out from that hearing for just a minute right now. We have some breaking news to kind of get to right here. You're looking at a live look at Old Dominion University, where we have learned of an active threat. And we're going to go ahead and read off the information we have from Old Dominion University. So shortly before 10:49 a.m., a gunman in Constant Hall opened fire. 2 people were injured. Old Dominion University Police, Norfolk Police, and emergency personnel responded immediately. The gunman is now deceased. The injured were transported to a local hospital. Old Dominion University has canceled classes and operations on main campus for the remainder of the day. Please avoid the area in and around Constant Hall, where emergency personnel continue to work. Next update will be provided at 12:15 p.m. So we'll be able to update you as soon as we know more information from there. But let's go back out to the nation's capital and continue the coverage of that hearing. All right, looks like that hearing has wrapped up. So we're going to go ahead and take our next break.
So
We'll have more news for you after that.
Oh my God. Sorry. The news team sucks so bad. Like, wait, are we ready? Yeah. Are we gonna do the news now? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. So we can do it? Like how we're live right now? Okay, cool. Hilarious. And they could have seen if they just looked at the video feed that everybody was getting up for a break, for a recess. It's craziness. Yep, good job, Lily. No chocolate for puppies. He's already too chunky anyways. Just gonna move that down a little bit, but I'll just leave it. Oh, goodness. Doggy treats. Doggy treats. Oh, what you say? You seen the other day chocolate was banned word on here? Yeah. I am gonna ban that word on here. Just so we stop thinking about it. Some apples and a treat for puppy. It's funny what kind of fruits you can actually eat. Like pineapple. It's so random, but they could have like fresh pineapple. I'm sure he would like apples. Some of his dog treats I've gotten him have like apples and stuff in them. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm not really gonna. I mean, I'll ban some words that like people shouldn't say, but I don't know. You know what's really funny too is I was watching this and I'm looking at like the chat, right? And the chat is crazy, like on a news network or whatever. But so all these news networks they have a subscriber mode. So you have to be a subscriber to the channel, probably for X amount of time before you can actually comment on it. Well, tell me why people have so much time on their hands to go to their rival news network, subscribe to it just to put in like argumentative comments. It's wild. had a dog that loved bananas? Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. And it just goes to show how effective those division tactics are. Because that's the problem, is like people can't watch something and just like calm down about it, or like just try to think from a third party perspective, like how does this affect people regardless of what they believe in, regardless of their morals, their ethics, whatever. Like, even if I don't like something, I should still be willing to actually listen to it, not just hear it and then focus on buzzwords, you know? But that's asking a lot nowadays.
In federal elections. Now, some of the problem here that you're seeing in terms of getting it passed is that simply it seems like the votes are not there, and Leader Thune has refused to abolish the filibuster in order to do so. He has said that he plans on bringing this up next week for a vote, but there are a number of Republicans on the House side who have said that they are going to protest and pretty much try to block any legislation, which includes this housing bill, until they see a vote on the SAVE Act. So a lot of moving parts in the nation's capital right now, but it looks like the SAVE Act does not have a path towards passing. Neither do we see an end in sight to this Department of Homeland Security shutdown that has dragged on for numerous weeks now, as Republicans and Democrats still seem very far apart when it comes to any type of agreement to end that shutdown. Now, let's go back out to Norfolk, Virginia, where we are still following this, what was apparently an active shooter situation, but now appears to be
Is
at
that
least
anywhere
over
near you?
because the gunman is deceased. Let me see if I can get the notes on this here. And this was an update that we read before that came from Old Dominion University, the location of where this alleged incident happened. They said shortly after 10:49 a.m., a gunman in Constant Hall, which is on campus, opened fire. 2 people were injured. Old Dominion University Police, Norfolk Police, and emergency personnel responded immediately. The gunman is now deceased. The injured were transported to a local hospital. And Old Dominion University has canceled all classes and operations on main campus for the remainder of the day. Please avoid the area in and around Constant Hall, where emergency personnel continue to work. The next update will come in the next hour.
How are they always messing up their feeds and like
we got another update we're going to show you right here.
Look at the camera.
Here we go.
The camera's
There's the
towards the
emergency alert
sky.
that we just read off. All the information that we just mentioned is right there, as you can see. We don't really have too much going on except the Senate floor right now, but we can go back out there and kind of see what the update is.
We can look at the floor that has nobody on it.
The vote stands on this housing bill. It's likely to pass. We're looking at 37 to 3.
He probably fell asleep.
The Housing for the 21st Century Act. But of course, a lot of the drama when it centers around this is probably going to come when it goes back to the House, because there is certainly a lot of protesting going on amongst House Republicans when it comes to getting the Save America Act passed, which currently doesn't seem to have a major path forward in terms of getting it across the finish line, because Leader Thune has said that he is not willing to abolish the Senate filibuster in order to do so, and has pretty much said that the votes are not there to get rid of the filibuster either. I'm Ryan Schmelz. You've been watching Live Now from Fox. We're going to go ahead and take our next break of the hour, but we'll have more updates for you coming up after that. Thank you.
No, because they wouldn't let me be there, because they'd be like, sir, you have to be respectful in your language and talk to us correctly. And be like, yeah, I was, but then you stupid motherfuckers keep talking all this stupid fuck shit that don't make any goddamn sense. Yeah, and then that's when they're gonna be like, nope, you can't fit the bill. Yeah, break from what? They're literally talking. Let me see why my camera is like cricket-ish. That's why it wouldn't work very well, though. It took me so long to be able to, like, not speak like that, because I just spoke like that for a long time. Especially when you have a job where you're allowed to curse. As long as you do it with tact. Where's that remote at? Or, if I do this, will it turn it on? Oh, well, sweet.
Back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Ryan Schmelz. Time now is 11:50, and we're going to head out to St. Paul, Minnesota, where we are in the middle of an Equal Rights Amendment rally. Activists are gathering in the Minnesota State Capitol Rotunda for an Equal Rights Amendment rally. If the amendment is added to the state constitution, women would be guaranteed the right to make all pregnancy decisions, including abortion. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Your news feed sucks.
All right, it looks like that event just added, but we did get an update earlier today from Danny Danon, the ambassador from Israel to the United States. Let's go ahead and replay some of that for you. Here we go.
They have the capability to target military sites, but they choose to target communities in northern part of Israel.
About 2,200, Amy.
So a few points about the regime. So, you know, we are maybe we're naive, but we believe that after the operation in the summer, that something will change.
God, everybody's so bad at checking audio and video.
Calculate its efforts, you know, because it's not, you know, the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran. You know, it was massive, 12 days. So we expected that they will sit down and say, okay, what do we do next? And unfortunately, nothing changed. They did not change course. It actually accelerated its nuclear program and long-range missile developments. And they expanded the program to fortify and to go underground, to put everything beneath the ground, to put it in mountains. You know, when we speak about the nuclear program, and always you will hear the Iranian representative saying, no, it's peaceful. If it's peaceful, why you hide it? Why you actually go into a mountain, spend hundreds of millions to put it underground? Why you enrich uranium to 60%? You know, if it's peaceful, you know, allow inspectors and, you know, many of the countries here use nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. It's not the case with Iran. So once we realized that they are fortifying the facilities, we decided to take action. And I will note, you know, I will quote Special Envoy Witkoff from the negotiations. When he started to negotiate with the Iranian, they didn't hide. They actually were very proud about the fact that they have a stockpile of 460 kilograms
that sounds delicious.
of uranium, and they can develop 11 bombs. So that's when they entered the room and said, you know what, we have it already. That's the attitude of Iran. And I would add one more point, that everyone speaks about
Amy's making lunch for us.
Enriched uranium, but no one speaks about thousands of kilograms of uranium which is enriched to a lower level. I'm not an expert, but from what I learned, that it is very easy if you have uranium which is enriched to upgrade it to a higher level.
I know your neck of the woods.
We all speak about the 460 kilograms and ideas about taking it out, but no one is addressing the fact that you have thousands of kilograms of enriched uranium, lower levels, but very fast they can convert it to higher level. Okay. This is the most important part of my briefing. The Iranian surface-to-surface missiles.
Oh,
you know, it's a huge arsenal of missiles. It's part of the strategic goals of the regime.
Monday's one, okay.
They take a lot of pride in it. And, as we speak, you can look at the numbers, and I see many, many nations here. I don't want to make any mistake, but, I would say 99% Iran has more ballistic missiles. All of those countries in this room, even combined. So just think about it. Thousands of ballistic missiles. Thousands that they had. And we followed it. And you can see we actually have the numbers here on the left. The production rate of 100 missiles per month. That's the industry that they built in different locations in Iran. They spread it in different places. And when we decided to attack last summer, the estimation was approximately 3,000 ballistic missiles that have surface-to-surface missiles. It's a huge number. 3,000, think about that they can operate. We were able to degrade the capabilities.
Oh, nice.
But then we saw that very fast they started to rebuild the factories and to increase the production rate. And the recovery trend was impressive, unfortunately. And they brought it 13 days ago to approximately 2,500 missiles. Now, if let's assume we wouldn't have decided to attack Iran 2 weeks ago, by the year of 2027, look, they would have achieved the goal of 8,000, more than the number of the US and Russia and China. They would have been number one around in the world by the year of 2027. In the number, I don't go into the quality and the precision, but I don't care about it because they don't target military sites. They can send it to a city. You send it to Dubai, you send it to Manama, to Tel Aviv. It doesn't have to be accurate. You just send the numbers. So this is a crucial piece of information here because we realize that we have to take action. And as we speak now, the US and Israel, we are targeting that infrastructure of the ballistic missiles. And they have a very massive infrastructure of ballistic missiles. So we don't know what will be the outcome of the operation in terms of the regime, in terms of the people of Iran. But one thing I can guarantee you, that they will not have that capability.
You're having
we're going to push them back and eliminate that capability because that's a real threat. And today you look at Israel, but I want to ask you for 1 minute. Imagine that Iran decided that you are the enemy. I don't know, for whatever reason. They will think that, I don't want to name names here, but they will think that you are the enemy. And they will decide to take this capability of thousands of ballistic missiles and launch it to your country. And they are doing it now to the Gulf countries, so they're neighbors. So it can happen. So I think what we are doing now, degrading the capabilities of Iran with the surface-to-surface missiles, it's crucial, and it will serve the world. And I will quote Chancellor Merz to say that Israel is doing the dirty work for the world. So you can support this operation or not support this operation, but this point of taking that capability from the Iranian regime, I truly believe it's beneficial for all of us. So, at the beginning of the war, we also eliminated Ali Khamenei. He ruled Iran since 1989. The spiritual leader, he was involved in many attacks against U.S. troops, against targets in Europe, Latin America, and for sure Israel. I think we proved that we have a very good intelligence, and we attacked him in a bunker where he thought that he cannot be touched. So we proved that we have the intel capabilities, but also the precise munition to get to, many countries you have bunkers, for where you keep the leadership in times of emergency. So he thought that he's safe where he was hiding. We go to the next one very quickly. Also the leadership of the IRGC. I don't think you know those names, but we follow them very carefully. The way they speak against the U.S., against Israel, threatening us, in charge of many terror activities in the region. I mentioned the proxies. The proxies, it's a huge operation. You think, they support Hezbollah, but you have to fund them, you have to train them, and also you need to manage it. So many of those people here are the architect of the proxies, and we all feel safer when they are not with us anymore. In terms of the Iranian attacks, I think you know that, and we heard it yesterday from our colleague from Bahrain in the Security Council. Basically, they are neighbors, and they decided to destabilize the region by attacking so many locations. You don't have Cyprus and Turkey, but it also happened. And basically, they want to destabilize the region, create chaos. I don't know what was the strategy of Iran, but I think yesterday they realized that it wasn't working, because I saw the determination of the Gulf countries and others to take diplomatic actions and other actions against Iran in order to defend themselves. My last point today will be about Lebanon, and that's unfortunate, because from the reports I received and phone calls I held this morning, we see escalation. And when I say escalation, it's basically orders coming from Tehran to Beirut to Hezbollah to escalate the attacks against Israel, which will require us to take actions. So last night, hundreds of rockets flew into Israel at night, not from Iran. Mostly, there were few from Iran, but most of them came from Lebanon. And in this map, I want to remind you, most of you are familiar with that. There is a resolution of the Security Council, Resolution 1701, which basically said that is the border between the blue line between Israel and Lebanon. The resolution said that between the border and the Litani River, which is right here, this area will be free of any military besides UNIFIL and the Lebanese military. Unfortunately, Hezbollah is still there, and the Lebanese army was not able, despite the declarations they made, to push them away. And today they are using this area to send rockets into Israel. It's a different scenario, because when we get a rocket flying from Iran, we can alert, we can tell people, you have few minutes, go stay next to the shelter, park your car, get ready. Rockets flying from Lebanon, it takes 30 seconds to get to the communities in northern Israel. 30 seconds. Imagine now you're driving with your 3 kids in your car, and you are all of a sudden you hear the sirens, and you have 30 seconds. You need to park the car, and you need to decide which kid you take first. Unbuckle them, get them out of the car, and there were incidents that the mother actually had to decide which kid she takes first to the shelter. She cannot take all of them, the small kids. So 30 seconds, and it's hundreds of rockets flying into Israel. So we have no other option. We have to operate, and that's what we do now. We attack mainly with our Air Force different sites in Lebanon against Hezbollah, and we will not be able to sustain it if Hezbollah will continue to send those rockets into Israel. Now, the reason Hezbollah is attacking Israel today is not to protect Lebanon, not to protect the Lebanese people, because they got clear instructions from Tehran to open fire against Israel. So we have to pay attention to what's happening in Lebanon. There are many countries that try to negotiate, and we will welcome negotiations, but we cannot negotiate while rockets are flying into our northern border. So we will, hopefully, the Lebanese military will be more efficient, will take action against Hezbollah. If they will not do it, we will have to maneuver, we will have to take action and to stop the rockets flying into Israel. So this was my part. I would now would like to invite Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani to give us an update, operational update from the IDF. And after that, we will open the discussion for questions. Thank you.
Wow. Just laying out the whole plan. All right, so I think here's a good little stopping point. I appreciate everybody for coming by. I'm going to go live here again maybe 30 minutes to an hour. We're going to do something different because if I watch any more news, I'm going to go back to sleep. So, yeah, appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you here in a bit.